Guys, this is somebody that went, we're going to get into all this, but this is somebody that went and basically went into the woods, came out with 10K in her hand of new business. And it's a really cool story, which I don't even know the full story because we got on like 5 minutes ago, just about how I roll. So if you guys have anybody that comes to mind, and I know that like a lot of us are connected from other groups, or we're part of like other like accountability groups and this kind of stuff, tag them, get them on this. I'm going to give it to, let's see. I don't have a timer, but I'm going to, in my head, give it about a minute, minute and a half, and then we will start rocking and rolling. Okay. By the way, fun fact. I was at Texas Roadhouse on Valentine's Day. Yeah, go ahead. I'll tell the story while you're gone. So I was at Texas Roadhouse and I was waiting for my food because we just took food to go. And this guy, I look up in like my peripheral or whatever, I guess it's like, I was looking at it on my phone, and this guy's like, hey, bro, where'd you get your hoodie? And I was wearing this hoodie, and I was like, I made it. And he's like, okay. He's like, I want to buy one. So, you know what I told him? I told him he's got to be in the group and got to sling a flat fee deal because they're not for sale. So anyway, you know, nice. just a merch opportunity, but I passed it up. Don't worry.
I'll take it up.
Yeah, if you better hit Fix It Felix with your size and everything, just so you know.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so yeah, you would know that if you were actually active in the group, but I know you've been doing deals, so I'll forgive you.
Oh no, I think we've definitely connected, so I know she's there.
Okay,
I'm
so
connected.
Let me read through these really quick. So Lauren says Reem is a badass. Thank you, Lauren. I agree with that. Elvis says, is this Reem? And then Adam giving you the remarkable with the triple, quadruple E's. James Foley Love is in the house. What's up, my man? Joseph Scott Angie Leeds calling him right now. We got Elvis. Elvis hasn't gotten his hoodie. Take it up with Fix It Felix. I'm just kidding. Make sure you've given your size and your address to that person. Cool. All right. I say we just rock and roll. What do you think, Reem?
Let's do it.
Okay. Fun fact about Reem. If I'm not mistaken, her agency is it called Remarkable?
Yes.
It's called Remarkable with a play on words, and she carries the Remarkable that's matching mine.
The one and only.
Look at that. Guys, this is not a plug for
it is remarkable.
But it is a plug. It is a plug. I do not have a swipe up affiliate link, but these are dope. Okay.
Right. That's what I keep saying. I should become an affiliate with Remarkable.
Yeah, you should. And what's funny is I'll be on this call looking at these and someone will be like, dude, where's your Remarkable? I get too excited and I've broken like a couple pens of the Remarkable pens because I'm just writing and my kids break them. So I'm just using this when I get all jacked up. Okay. So guys, let me give a little bit of a background and I'm going to start quizzing Reem on some stuff. Okay. So I connected with Reem. Was it August? Like when we first connected?
Yeah.
Okay. So Reem, back in August, she slid into the DMs. Okay. And we were in another group and she had seen some of the stuff I was posting and she's like, yo, I would love to chat with you and ask you a couple like specific questions. And I'm going to be honest, like I don't usually like respond to those, but I'd have to go pull up the message. You didn't say it. It wasn't, you didn't use the old, hey, can I pick your brain line? You came in with a different angle, which I liked. And so I was in Vegas and I was driving from a client to go meet my wife for lunch. And I was like, you know what? I actually have a few minutes. Let's talk. Nice. And the reason I'm bringing that up is at that time you had,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. You had one client at that time though, right? Yes. You had one client and it was in kind of an interesting niche. And so that's kind of where I want to start is like, this is literally like 6 months ago, you had one client right?
Yeah.
You had a full-time job at another gig. You had one client, which wasn't even like that great of a client, if I remember right. It was okay. And
Yeah,
you,
it was like $800 a month.
yeah. And you basically, like what you asked me, you're like, how the hell did you get to 100K? Like you were like just absorbing, like sucking me full of like information, like asking this and this. And it was like, but it was a good conversation. You know, there's differences when somebody's like just asking and it's like it sucks your energy, and then somebody's asking questions and it's got energy in the conversation. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about, energy, a little bit today. But anyway, so from that time till now, we've seen a lot of change in Reem. So let me ask you this first. How long or when did you kind of enter the lead generation scene? When did you buy your first program? How long ago is that?
So that was in 2020. That's when COVID hit, right? Yeah. So it was June of 2020, but I didn't touch the program because I went home for 6 months. I had quit my career at the time with Norwegian. So I kind of went on like this sabbatical, which, so I didn't touch the program. I was dabbling a little bit in it, but you know, it was a lot of information. So I really hit the ground running with the program and studying it. You know, I started really studying it January of 2021.
Yep.
Yeah.
So about a year ago.
Wow. A lot has happened in 2021. You know, I lost my phone in Vegas, got my phone stolen. All of 2021 is gone. But yeah, I started studying the program in 2021, landed my first client, which was Lauren, in March. And now we're in 2022.
Love it. Okay, so we're talking about, guys, that's what's funny about most people that are in this. We all like find a blog, see a YouTube video, see a Facebook post. We get on a coaching or a call. We buy a program for a couple grand, 5, 6, 8, 10, whatever, 2, whatever it is. And then like we get overwhelmed, we get sidetracked, and then whoop, we stick it on a shelf. Like everyone, I did the same thing. I actually landed a client and then I was so stupid, I still stuck it on a shelf. So for anyone that's done that, and you're like, what's that?
Yeah, I did the same thing, you know, like I tried, I got my first client and then I put it on the shelf. I got a job because I was literally running out of my savings. And yeah, so
yeah, well, my point is like, if you're in here right now and you kind of like lost the fire because you set it to the side, welcome to the club. We all went through it at some point and it's fine. But what I've noticed about like the energy in this group is a lot of people, when we talk to them on these interviews, they literally, it's gone like a couple years or a couple months and they get in here and they're like, oh yeah, this is what I joined that program for, was to build up assets that I own that I can rent out that are, I mean, they're semi-passive. They're not 100% passive. And you kind of get in here and you start seeing people slaying deals, Reem knocking down 10K in a single month of new business. And you're like, holy crap, this is what I did. And it kind of like, it's that energy is super contagious. So for anyone that's new, like this is the norm. People are closing deals. People are making moves. We're very, very focused in here. And it's exciting because no one's chasing Facebook ad clients and web design. We're focused on one single thing in here, which is lead generation. And then as you do that, more deals will come. You will get those other type of deals that you can take, but we're focused on building our lead generation business. So my question for you is, like, August, we talked, and then, I mean, basically nothing really happened. Like, what was the spark that got you back on to like, okay, time to go all in on this and time to like actually figure this out?
When I joined Flat Fee Mastery. Really, like, it was since we started talking, because, you know, I had committed to my entrepreneurship journey, and it happened to be that I got these programs that got me into lead generation. So I was committed to that. And then I was going through the motions, you know, up until we talked. When we talked, and like, that just set a fire in me. And I had already had one client, and I know, you know, I've had success, and that's why I wanted to jump in today, because I think sales and energy is extremely important. You know, we can talk about Yeah. So it was you that.
Okay. Okay. I'll take it. So, but like, so we
Yeah.
talked in August, you're saying like that conversation, or you mean when we started this group? Because guys, anyone that's new to this, we started this group in like September. This is brand new.
Mhm.
Like, and we're already at almost 500 members. It's gonna like give this thing a year. I don't care what it's at total numbers. All I care about is that this energy keeps growing. That's what's important to me. And a lot of people say that. I mean it. Like I have right now, I have 40 people sitting in the requested like to join. And me and Fix It Felix, we go through each person. Guys, this is a free group. We go through each person and we like check out their profile. We make sure they're not a scam. We make sure they're not going to peddle shit. And we make sure that like it's actually some like if they're negative, they have all this crap on their wall, we'll just delete it. So we're trying to keep this really, really clean because even though it's free, as you saw, if you heard me last week, like I'm thinking about doing some stuff like there's requirements to be in here, closing deals, these different types of things. So anyway, okay, so you in August, you kind of get the spark back, and then tell us like what was the difference?
It was January 31st is when it was New Year's, really. You know, we did the goal setting. I
Okay.
had December was a really bad month for me, just in terms of like, you know, not a bad month. I just had a lot on my plate that month.
Yep. Mom was in town.
Yes, mom was in town, and you know, and it's not like I never stopped, you know, it's not like I put it off to the shelf because I committed, you know, and I was just going at it as much as I could. So tapping into the group gave me that community and that support, and I think that's extremely important, you know, like extremely, extremely important to one's success. I always talk about show me your friends and I'll show you your future, you know, like if you want to grow out of where you currently are, you want to tap into the people that you know you want to surround yourself, and that's what I did with you. You know, I knew it's possible, and I just found the right people. So it was January 31st, or actually, yeah,
January 1st,
no,
December
sorry,
31st.
December 31st. Yeah, when we did the goal setting and flat fee mastery, I had missed that live, and I was just like, it's game on. That's it. So I
So
rewatched the lives that you did, and it wasn't, you know, it was just the first day after my goal setting, you know, because I posted, if you guys saw my goal setting, you know, I was just going through it. I didn't expect what happened to happen. But really, after I did my goal setting and I broke it down, I looked at it. Once I realized that it's possible and it's actually really easy, I was like, huh, it's game on.
So what was your goal for January? Like, I know what you hit. What was your goal for January?
To land, actually, here, let's see. I know my income was 7,500, minimum of 7,500.
Okay.
That
was the goal was to hit $7,500 in recurring revenue.
Right. And, you know, correct.
Okay.
Correct.
But here's my question. How do you
But
go?
I wanted to have 3 lead gens rented and 2 local deals. That's what I wanted to break it down to.
Okay. So here's my question. December, you didn't get any deals, correct?
I got 1 deal in December.
Okay. 1 deal in December. How do you go from like December, you have 1 deal, to having like the confidence or even the mind to say, okay, I did 1 deal last month, but I think I can do $7,500, or basically like 5 deals or 3 deals, whatever you just said. Like what gave you that confidence to, I mean, that's triple, quadruple what you were at in December.
Right. So yes, it is. And, you know, I know Burhan talked about, you know, when I posted about my success, and it's true, I've been going at this for a while, you know, like it takes, you know, putting in the reps, it takes, you know, I went through a year and a half of just going through the rut of getting a job, you know, and then quitting that job again. So I went through the motions, you know, I was still, you know, and then when I landed that first deal, I've had success before. And especially after our conversations, you know, I just broke it down, and I'm like, I asked myself, I was like, how many, you know, based on my experience, you know, how many clients and how many business owners do I need to put myself in front of in order to get 1 deal? Right. So I was like, okay, I did my numbers. You guys can go and check out the post that I did. I literally posted my whole brain, you know, and it was based off of my Norwegian experience. So
And
I
by
just
the way, for anyone that does like she worked for Norwegian, the cruise line.
Yeah, I did for about a year and a half. And it was sales, you know, and that taught me a lot. If there's anything that I can give anybody today, it's really like goal setting, environment, and and just persistent action. Really, it's goal setting. Really, 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 really. Like because you know, when you break it down and just imagine, you know, it's one flat fee is no less than $1,000, right? So I know my potential, and I was like, okay, if I could put myself in front of 9 business owners a week, that means I'm getting 2 deals. Or I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, no.
um,
So this is like, and that's kind of what I was
it's
thinking.
interesting. Like I have like a lot. There's so many nuggets that I could give, but really
Yeah.
what I want to focus on today, like my biggest nugget that I want to focus on today is goal setting and is surrounding yourself with the right energy and the right environment, you know?
Okay, so let's talk about goal setting. Let's talk about goal setting because that's what I was thinking you were going to say is like the difference between when you started, what was it? No, like, okay, December 1st, you got 1 deal in December. You kind of had goals in your head of like, okay, whatever, I'm gonna go get deals. But in January, you had like specific goals. I'm gonna get this many deals, I'm gonna get these kind of deals, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna talk to as many people. So for people that haven't ever done that, like what did you do different, like with your goal setting that in December?
I actually wrote it down on paper, you know, like I committed it to pen and paper. Cause like that whole month, you know, I tried so many different routines, you know, I tried so many different, you know, like goal setting, but I was really like, I I was staying away from doing like money producing activities all the way up until December 31st. That's when I'm like, cut the BS out. Like you've learned enough, you've tapped in enough, you've caught, like put it to action. And it's really just kicking yourself in the butt and just goal setting on money producing activities. Like seriously, you know, like if you feel like you have enough knowledge and if you feel like, you know, but even if you believe in the product, if you believe in what you do, you know, that even with little knowledge, people will even, it's the energy that you give, you know, it's the energy that you give. So, you know, if you know that it's possible and you know that these skills, and you should know that we're here in front of you, you know, it's possible. I'm seeing it. My clients are growing. I'm growing, you know, and it's unlimited potential, you know?
Yeah.
So
So
goal setting really was key.
besides just writing it down though, like because obviously I think we've all heard that you need it, like, and it's true. You put it on paper and you have a way better chance of increasing it because you're looking at it. Besides that though, is there anything else that you felt like you did different with goal setting that you hadn't done in the past that maybe you could share some tips on? Or is it like you did the exact, like pretty much the same, but the difference is just writing it down? I'm just curious. No answer that I'm digging.
So what I did was, you know, first I said, okay, I have like how much money do I want to make? Right. I mean, it's because it's different when you write it down, like your brain lets loose on a piece of paper, you know. So I started with how much money do like how much money do I know that I can make? You know, like you could start with one deal, like that one deal, if you see yourself closing that one deal, like then that's just going to trickle. So, you know, I had closed that one deal in December. I already had a client, you know. Um, so yeah, it was just saying, okay, I want to hit 10K. And let me remember. I know that you did it in a specific way to where, you know, you broke it down from like the year to the 6 months, I believe, down to. So that's what I did. I started with 6 months. I was like, okay, I want to hit 20K. You know, I was seeing in the flat fee group, these people, you know, I think Elvis or someone wanted to hit 50K a month, and you had responded to the comment and told him exactly how he could make that happen. And I was like, okay. And I just took everything that everybody was sharing in that group, you know, and all the you know, all the lives that we've done, it all comes together. You know, one thing that you hear 6 months ago could just like, so when you start putting, you know, committing pen to paper, like you really like you, and then So I was like, okay, I want to make 20K in 6 months. Okay, great. Now let me break that down. And I broke it down to that 1 month. I was like, really? Okay, I want to make 10K. You know, how many business owners, if you look at the calculator, the goal calculator, it's all the same, you know, finding out your closing ratio, finding out, how many business owners you need to put yourself. So that's what I did. I was like, okay, personally, how many people do I need to speak with or like present to or pitch to? How many business owners do I need to pitch to get one deal? And my ratio was 3. You know, I wanted to be, that was a good baseline for me. For every 3, I'm gonna get one, you know? Um, even though, so yeah. So I broke it down. I was like, okay, so if I want to hit 75, you know, I was like, how many deals do I need to close? Right. So yeah, I wanted 5 deals by the end of January. It was 3 lead gens and 2 SEO deals. And I was like, at a minimum of $1,000 a month. So that with the client that I already had, because I upsold her to 1,500, which I did in that month of December as well. I think it was November and December. I took my $800 client to $1,500. So yeah, I was like, okay. So I pretty much got organized. Because there's so many parts to the equation. You know, there's keeping your current clients happy, or at the time, that's what I was keeping myself busy, is knowledge and keeping my clients happy and all that stuff. So I was like, okay, I need money producing activities. So I broke it down per week. And I was like, okay, Monday, I'm going to have agency retention. You know, Tuesday, I'm going to have client retention. Wednesday, filling up the pipeline. Thursday, filling up the pipeline, you know, Friday follow-ups. So you guys can go and look at that post. I really gave you a lot in that. And
in fact, fix it, Felix. If you're on, or when you see this, let's throw the link in the comments, or let's like reshare it or comment so it'll pop to the top again. And guys, if you guys don't have your goals, like
I do have a nugget. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say really quick, my goals are written down everywhere. Like they are sitting in here, they're on my phone, and like you saw this paper, I literally just grabbed it right here. This is my goal right here. How to get to $1 million in 1 month. And I have like every single step. How much that needs to cost, the product needs to cost, the service, how many clients at that price, how many I need to pitch, what I'm willing to give up. So like I have this everywhere. This is just my $1 million in a month. I have it broken down right here on this sheet. And if you guys want a good place, like a reference, because we went into really like deep detail in Flat Fee Mastery on this, but what I was borrowing from was this right here. The Think and Grow Rich, page 26, right here in the chapter called Desire. We literally followed this 6 steps. Boom, 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 boom. This is how we set our goals, and our targets was based on this book right here. Boom, 350.
And then on the back, it says my favorite quote, which is ask and it shall be given you. Seek and you shall find. A great nugget that I could share is that I reviewed my weeks. So I wrote down, it's really keeping yourself top 10. I pretty much stayed off of social media. I just committed all of January to money producing activities. Well, give me some examples for those that are like, what the hell are you talking about? Give me some money producing activities you're talking about, and then you can share. Yeah, instead of watching Netflix, I was tapping into YouTube. I love listening into podcasts. I love, so I cut out TV, I cut out social media, and I really, by goal setting, it took a lot of stress off, because I already knew what I was going to do that month every day. So it was like just disconnecting anything that didn't serve me in that sense. And yeah, I cut out social media, cut out Netflix. I, looked at my goals every day. I followed my goals every day. Another trick that I could give, I started utilizing Trello. And this is a trick that I learned from someone, definitely worth listening to. He's the CEO of a e-commerce platform called Chinon. And I think they're doing right now 35 million a
Oh, that's
year.
okay. That's pretty decent.
So yeah, like
Yeah.
it's possible. It's really when you speak with the right people and just become a social butterfly and really become a social butterfly and because you really want that success. Like don't let anything hold you back. If you're genuine, if you really want success, if you reach out, like people can feel your energy. So um yeah, I started utilizing Trello, and
Yeah.
Trello was awesome because, like I said, I already had broken down what I wanted to do, in terms of like per day. I wanted agency retention, lead generation, like I really had two business models at that time and I wanted to get organized. So I was like agency retention, lead generation, retention, like putting in the work because I didn't have a full team at the time, which now I do. Um, so that also happened within that month. I got an awesome team. We're now a team of 8.
Before I forget, just seeing you, like, how cool is it? Just think about this, guys. How cool is it that about 6 weeks ago, Reem sat down, pretend this is a notebook. She sat down with a notebook and like put right there. She put what was in her mind on a notebook. And then she went to work. She turned off social media, turned off Netflix. And 6 weeks later, she is like it literally changed her life. Like in 30 days.
That's it. I mean, and I wish we did that live, like right then and there, because I mean, it's just absolutely beautiful. February for me has been just about getting now organized, handling that big load that I took on in January. And it was awesome. I went to Vegas and I went to LA, but yeah, it was like this when I committed pen to paper and I broke down the goals. I really urge you to just, if you are ready and know that you are ready and have the knowledge, like what you're talking about, and you're just missing link is just wanting to drive that revenue in, then I would shift your focus onto tapping into groups like us because we're talking about sales, we're talking about energy, we're talking about there's knowledge on everything in that group, but most importantly, like it's bringing it full circle. It's tying in that last knot for you, which is knowing that it's possible.
Yeah.
Because you've been going at it on your own, and that's what I did. I was going at it on my own until I got into. Although we've spoken and although we've had our conversations, it wasn't until we were in that group and we are just on track with each other.
Yeah.
So,
well, and this is what I was gonna say is I think I've said this before. I was shocked. Like I actually read in here. There was a line I read in here today because guys, this is literally. I've said this so many times. This is my book of 2022. If you guys do not have this book, order it. And if I were you, I'd order this freaking Bible version here that's got like the hardcover. It's freaking dope. But I read out of this. I try to read every day. Hold on one second, or I'm going to lose my train of thought because I don't have a very good memory. Give me 1 second. So I read a line today, and this is the point I wanted to make is when things happen, it says something like when wealth comes your way, it comes so quickly that you'd never expect it. And it like it's I haven't made $100 million or probably the wealth that Napoleon Hill was referring to. But I remember in 2019, I went from struggling, about to toss in the towel in December of 2019 to 1 year later, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just made 7 figures. You just went from making basically nothing to now at 10K literally in 30 days. So how did you think it was going to happen that quickly?
No, really, I didn't. I didn't, and I had no expectations. I think that's what changed. It was faith. It was think and grow rich. Here are the nuggets that I'm really going to share. I cut off social media completely. No Netflix. No, I started working out again. I just really committed. The biggest thing was, and I'm going to share it in the group when I'm done. Every morning and every night, I listen to the 30-minute track by Earl Nightingale, which is Think and Grow Rich. Every morning, it was every morning. And I would listen to it sometimes at night, but I followed that exact same process. I literally committed pen to paper. I cut out everything. I had done my goal setting, and every night, every week, I would review my goals. I wrote down what my yearly goal is, which is 350,000 by December 2022. And every morning, it's on my nightstand next to, because I would rewrite. I wrote down my, on Sunday, the end of the week, I'm writing my week review. And then I'm writing my first week, my first week of, second week of January, third week of January, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I would have my goal on it. I would wake up every morning looking at it, and I would go to sleep looking at it. And I utilized Trello for the everyday, activities. So the tip that I was going to share, Trello is just like an organization, you could, whatever it's
free.
called.
It's free
Yeah,
too.
it is. So you want to do 3 columns in Trello. You want to do week goals. You want to do today's goals. And you want to do a done section. So my week section, my week goal section, my today goal section, and my done section, because you have to give yourself a pat on the back. Like
So are you
you
just dragging the cards as soon as you finish it?
Yes.
Would you
Yeah.
would you be comfortable like doing even if just a screenshot of one of your boards and sharing it?
Sure.
Because I would like to see it like because I have my own way of weekly planning and everything, but sometimes I'm like I love seeing new ways. Sometimes I get like in the same rut. So I think it would be valuable. I'm sure everyone would agree. Like even if you just screenshot a past week, that'd be cool to see how you organize it.
Definitely. Yeah, it was. So that's what I did. Every day I would just, I'm just committed to my goals. I'm committed to knocking the things that I said I was going to do. And it's all money producing activities. I was just blinders on. My goals were already set. I knew exactly what I needed to do. And I just put myself out there,
Yeah.
and I was scared. It was December of 2021, I was ditto. I was done. I was on the point of that's it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I did not expect it to happen that quickly. And when I put my goals in front of me, that took stress off. I just had faith and I went about it every day and really tapping into Think and Grow Rich. That's my 2022,
So good.
yeah,
I got to read this line. It's on page 252. And this is in The Power of the Mastermind that I was reading today. It says, when money comes in quantities known as the big money, it flows to the one who accumulates it as easily as water flows downhill. Now, I don't feel like I've hit the big money. However, I do think that like as we go through life, we have these little spurts. I remember doing 10K in a month back in 2020. And I was like, wow, that's how much that took me 8 months or 9 months the first year to do. And I just did it in 30 days. And then my only thing after that was like, how do I do that in a week? Like now my next goal is like, how do I do that in a week? Or how do I do 20? How do I double that? I mean,
yeah.
it's insane. Like just how fast it actually comes. I wanted to just, there's one other thing before I forget because Elvis made a comment, and honestly, I don't check the comments till the end, but this one I wanted to say, or was it Elvis? Yeah. We were talking about like cutting out all the noise and everything. He said cutting that stuff out saves so much time. And I remember Elvis specifically, he like calculated, and I'm gonna put him on the spot a little bit, but I know he'd be fine with it. He calculated how much time he was spending on YouTube. It was like he looked at his phone, it was like 4 hours a day. And you could argue, well, some of it's motivational, some of it's business, but let's be honest, 99% of it is not. And so I remember like back when I was doing door-to-door sales, the years that I did the best, I literally deleted. Now I don't think you need to delete, but I deleted the apps on my way to Arkansas, Alabama. I deleted it. I'm like, I'll catch you in 4 months, y'all. And then like later on when social media, I was like, okay, I need to stay on it because it does help. I would delete it during the week and check it on Sundays kind of thing. So like, how was that hard for you? And did you just delete all the apps? Like, how did you manage that?
I had just had about enough of everything, and I was ready to, honestly, I just had about enough with everything, because I was down to like my last, I think, 1,500. And I have my rent alone is 1,500. You know, so yeah, I had just had about enough. And I was like, whatever isn't gonna serve me, I know it's possible. People are out here making, 20 million a month, 10 million a month, 20K a month, 50K a month, and you're seeing progressions of other people, and I'm seeing other people progress. And I'm like, well, if they can do it, I could do it. Like they're lining, and it was tapping into that energy, tapping into,
Talk about
you know,
that. Talk about that. Like everyone says that, and Abe kind of hit on it yesterday. Like, what do you have to do mentally? Because I always say that, I'm like, hey, Reem, what color is your blood? Like, I bet it's red, right? Like, if I can do it, you can do it, and I truly believe that. But like, it was there any? Have you always been that way, where you like, if somebody else has done it, you could do it, or is there some work you had to do to like actually believe it?
So it, and that's a great question. And that's a topic that, you kind of talked about it. It was like, I think you asked specifically, is this a trait that you can develop, or is it something that you're born with? And, I was put in certain situations in life to where I tapped into motivational speakers early. Like I was pretty much on my own since I was 17. I moved to this country from Lebanon in 2011. I was 15. By 17, I was on my own. So I I just tapped into motivational speakers. I needed to borrow somebody else's confidence. I needed to borrow somebody else's energy. I needed to do all that, and it felt good. So I kept doing it, motivational speakers, podcasts. So, um, yeah, I've always been money hungry. I've always been running after, my freedom, if you were
But
to
did you
say.
believe, like, did you actually believe? Because I remember like 8 years ago when I was knocking doors. Now, when I see anyone, I don't care who it is, I could literally tell you, if I see somebody that has it's $100 million, their net worth, I know it inside me. I'm like, I know that the only difference between me and that person is they've consistently taken the right actions over a long enough period of time. That's the only difference. I am just as good. I'm just as talented. They don't
Yeah.
have anything better. Have you thought that, or did you have to like?
No, I had to go through the rut. I had to go through to believe, that it's because I would beat myself up a lot, and I just shifted the gear, and I was like, this life, like the world is our oyster. I just tapped into that energy, and I was like, it just takes faith. It just takes time. It just takes, yeah. So I didn't, I literally had to reprogram myself. I had to change the beliefs of what I completely, switched my perspective. And, we go through the motions, you go through the motions of, like being, calm, and just know that faith is there and it's going to happen. And, by doing persistent actions, you're pretty much magnifying that, you're reaffirming to yourself, and you're, because it's one thing to say, oh yeah, I believe it's going to happen, and sit on your butt all day. Like, no, it's not going to happen. You have to meet it halfway. So when you mix the belief, which is your environment, which is your, the people that you have the conversations to, who you listen to, right? And you mix your outer environment with like your inner, and you just meet it halfway. Yeah,
How did
I,
you
that's it,
reprogram? Like, any tips for reprogramming, for anyone that's like, they hear me say that, they hear you say that, that's cool, that's a cool concept, but is there anything that you did specifically over time that, like, that you could say, hey, this is what I did that helped me to actually believe that? Because it sounds so like foo-foo, woo-woo, whatever, but like, it's true. I actually believe, like, I
No,
I literally believe that that is the only difference between me and anybody else. I don't care who it is, how much money they have. It's just that, like, I don't feel inferior to anybody. And so I'm just curious, like, what your tip would be.
there are two types of people, and I discovered that with my experience at Norwegian. I went in this young 22-year-old who had no sales experience, nothing, but I had the fire and the drive. And I just, I just knew that if somebody else could do it, I could do it too. Yeah, I've always had, is that what I'm realizing? I just went out of life like the world is my oyster, and when I got into Norwegian and I saw these people making at the time 10K a month was like, whoa. I was at a point of
Yeah.
hopelessness back then. I
Yeah.
was pretty much almost homeless. I've been before, I've moved around a lot. And yeah, 10,000 back then to a 22-year-old was like, really? Like I could do that? I just have to hit the phones. I just have to talk to people. It was like, it was so, yeah. And I think that stemmed from listening to motivational speakers before I got Norwegian. It prepared me to, I've been reprogramming. I've been listening to motivational speakers and, just entrepreneurship and all that fun stuff since I moved to the States, since 17, 18, um, and I think that that prepared me for Norwegian. And I would listen every morning and every night. I'm just tapped every day. I'm tapped into at least one motivational video, at least one. Like start with that, like commit to yourself to listen to one motivational video a day. Commit yourself to have like one motivational conversation a day. Like commit yourself to like, and when you catch yourself, like, when you catch yourself not believing in yourself, like I didn't allow myself to feel like I no longer wanted to feel that energy. I no longer wanted to feel that I'm not capable or that this or that. So every time a thought that didn't serve me, or serve my business, I would literally go and switch it up. I would go and listen to a motivational speaker. I would go and, definitely podcast. Podcast is the biggest thing that has helped me change. And that's how I've been reprogramming myself, is just over the years, even over the past month. I've done that my whole life, but I wasn't successful in 2021. I was pretty much like pedaling and then stopping, pedaling and then stopping, pedaling and then stopping. And then I tapped into just everyday energy, consistent energy, everyday energy. Um,
So,
yeah,
like, and that kind of leads to something I had written down. By the way, if you see me looking down and writing, it's because I think of something I want to ask you. But how important would you say surrounding yourself with the right people? And I guess in your own words would probably be like the right energy, because that's people. How important is that in your mind?
beyond anything you can imagine. I cut a lot of people off. Beyond anything you could imagine, beyond anything you could imagine. I just, if we want to get deep, we can get deep. But I just was at such a low point in my life that I said, like, this life is supposed to feel good. This life is supposed, like, we're not meant to struggle in this world. Like, I'm not supposed to be feeling this way. I'm not supposed to be breaking down on the floor, like feeling like my heart is going to pop out because I'm overwhelmed. I'm this, I'm not. Like, no. So I just had that switch of like, anything that isn't going to serve me, anything that isn't going to make me happy, anything that isn't, I just completely just shut it off. I cut a lot of people off. Not that I cut a lot of people off, but I thought of myself as like a battery. Every day I thought of myself as a battery, and I was just giving my battery to what I wanted to give my battery to, and so your environment is extremely important. Like, I didn't come from an environment, I came from a Middle Eastern family who, like, it's a little hard to explain, but I came from a family that, my dad was a failed entrepreneur. So I grew up with my mom who, and I love my mom. My mom is the best, like the strongest woman that I know. But I definitely I took control of my life. I'm like, you know, like, this is my life. Whatever behaviors that I have that isn't serving me, this, like, I pretty much thought of myself as a baby, and I wanted to teach myself everything that I wanted to learn. Like I started becoming, and I started, I thought of myself literally as a baby, as a new baby. And I was the one who was growing that baby, not my parents, not my sister, not my environment, not my past. I just realized that, hey, maybe it's a midlife crisis or 20-year-old crisis, and like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I just, anything that didn't serve me, anything that didn't align with me, I just happily, I went from talking about my business to everybody. I went from talking about my business. I went from trying to get gratification from people, like, just all those little things, to just keeping my mouth shut, putting my blinders on, and I know where I'm going, and I just,
How do you or what advice would you give on somebody that wants to surround themselves with like those type of people? Like, where do you look? How do you know if that's the right, like somebody that's serving you and giving you that energy? Like somebody that's like, I just know a lot of people, they say, well, like, I don't even know where to start. They say, I don't know where to start. Where should I go? Where do I look?
like, I would start with, definitely motivational, like, and I could name a few, depending on where you're at in the process. It's like, how do you start? How do you start to reach out to people? How do you do this? How do you do that? You know, um, the best advice that I can give you, if you don't know something, go and learn it. Like, if you don't know how to talk to people, like, how do you think I knew how to reach out to you? Because like a year and a half ago or a year ago, like, I was Googling like how to find mentors or how to find, so whatever it is that you think is missing, whether it's, if you think that it's the environment, and if you're at that point, because I would, best advice I could give you is, yeah, learn how to talk to people, learn how, like, learn sales, tap into motivational speakers. I would recommend Les Brown. I could name a few at the top of my head.
You should drop a comment when we're done of like the people that you follow.
Yeah.
I like the motivational ones. And then one thing I was thinking too, like I asked that question and I'm like, one thing that I would say is probably a good rule of thumb is the people that you would want to trade places with, and maybe not entirely, but maybe let's say it's financially. I try and surround myself with people that I eventually want to accomplish what they've accomplished, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of my rule of thumb is like, if I want to do something, I want to make $1 million a month. That's one of my goals this year. I'm actively like trying to find like, okay, who's done that? How do I get around them? How can I add value to them so that I can like absorb some of their knowledge instead of just like yesterday, there's a guy, this guy that I know kind of, he's blown up the last couple of years. He's like, I mean, he made some insane money last year in real estate. And I hit him up and instead of doing like, oh, can I pick your brain? Can I take you to lunch? I know he doesn't have time for that. So I literally reached out and I said, dude, in fact, let me read you the text. This is what I said to him, because I hate when people do that. So this is my exact text to him, and it actually worked. So you could learn something from this. So I said, hey, Brian, what's going on? I said, I want to know if you'd be down to get together for a few minutes one of these days. And he's a big real estate guy. So like huge into real estate. He makes multiple millions of dollars. And I said, I'm really trying to put my cash into real estate right now. And every time I talk to someone, your name comes up about some of the moves you're making. I said, I hate when people ask me to go to lunch because I value my time, but I'd love to make lunch work on your time because I know how busy you are. And I said, if not, I'd be happy to pay you for 20 minutes of your time, even if it's a phone call. It's like I offered, like, literally, I'll literally pay for your time. And he texted me back this morning at 5 a.m. because he's up at 5 a.m. doing what he's doing. And he's like, you bet, come to my office anytime this week. I'm like, boom. That's a guy that makes multiple millions of dollars per year. And I didn't go in, yo, can I pick your brain? Like, guys, if you think buying lunch is going to get somebody, I don't like $10, even if you go buy them Ruth's Chris, like, dude, $100 versus the time, what their time's worth, it's just not worth it. So anyway, that's just my rule of thumb. Go find, like, your goal is to get 350K this year. Who are the people that have done that in this space with this business model? Go get around them. And you did that with me. You saw, okay, this guy's making 100K a month. I'm going to find a way to reach out to him. And then I'm going to get into, he has a group that's like smaller with, it's more intimate, that we talk more and I have more access. I'm going to get into that. And like that, you've done a great job of doing that. Sorry, I dropped my pen.
And thank you. And that's great. Like, and the great advice that I could give anybody is be genuine, like, don't just go into a group and, just find everybody that's, and just spam people and say, you find someone that's making $1,000, like, be genuine about when you reach out to people. Don't just spam people and try and get any kind of information. No, like, I would find people like that you could relate to. How many people have posted about success in that group? No, your energy was like, that's my kind of energy. That's my kind of, so I wouldn't just spam people constantly. Like, I would commit to wanting success, commit to, like, a huge thing is relating to people. And you did that, like being genuine. And rather than thinking about you, like, think about them, like, think about the other person. Like, when I'm talking to people, when I'm speaking about people, like, I'm thinking about them, because this conversation is about them. So, if when I reached out to you, I found the things that you would also want to talk to me about, right? That you would also, like, want to give your time to. You don't want to just be another, hey, can I pick your brain? Hey, can I do this? No, like, I would seriously just commit. And when you commit, you're going to start to, when you start, even, it's so crazy, even when you start listening to motivational speakers, like, and it's going to sound all foo-foo, whatever it is, but things start to align. Like, when you do things every day, you're not going to go and find a mentor tomorrow. TBH, right. Let me be honest right off the bat. Like, you're listening to us today. If you're going to take anything from today, is just committing. It's seriously committing, and it's doing persistent actions every day, that money producing activities, yeah. What are the main three things that you'd want people to take from today? Because I know we talked about goal setting. I know we talked about a lot. There's so much that we could give people, but I think environment is extremely key. What you listen to, what you intake every day, that's
yeah. I mean, so this is what I want to do is, if anybody has, like, and I'll share the things that I think are the best takeaways, but I got one more question for you. I'll share the things I think that are takeaways, but if anybody has questions, I'm going to ask Reem one more question. And in the meantime, if anyone has any questions, because we're going to be wrapping this up here in just a few minutes, any questions that you guys have for Reem, post them right now so that I catch them, because if there's a pause and when I'm done asking her questions, I'm shutting this thing off. So if you have questions, drop them in the comments while I ask this last question. For me, biggest takeaways from this call is, and it's stuff, obviously, like, I think a lot of this stuff, we've already heard it. We already know it. But it's the way that it's said by the person that says it, that maybe it just hits you that time. So today, like, for me, the biggest things as I'm sitting here interviewing you, talking to you, is like, okay, I know how important goal setting is, obviously, right? It's right here. It's like everywhere around me, but it just reiterated the fact of, like, don't forget, like, this is what's gotten me to this point, is doing this kind of stuff. And you're proving, okay, it's worked for you and it worked for me. Now, don't forget what got you here. And because it's really easy sometimes that you have the 10K month, and then you stop reading the goals, and then you start getting sidetracked, and then all of a sudden it's April and you're like, whoa, I got to get back to what I did in January. And now you just wasted almost a whole quarter of the year. So it's kind of I would say the number one thing for me is reiterated that this goal setting thing of putting it on paper, reviewing it, he says it in here, his exact verbiage is a definite purpose or a definite goal.
Yes. So I agree. The biggest takeaways is really listen, I'm going to share it as soon as I'm off this call. And you're right, I had my 10K month, but this is great. And I'm glad that we're having this call because I want to show people that environment is extremely key. I'm glad that we're having this call because I went to Vegas and I had my phone stolen and I was just going, I had a great time these 2 weeks, but I definitely, I'm now getting back in track even by this call. Today is technically like my first day back and I'm like, oh my goodness, I have so much to do. But guess what? I can go back and look at my efforts and I'm like, okay, because I reviewed my week every week, I would literally write down, I would go back and what worked with me in January worked. So I'm going back and I'm saying today, after we're done with this call, I'm gonna go back and say, okay, how did I plan out January? And how can I just get back on the saddle right away?
Right.
And it's realizing that I don't know how old you are, but I'm 25 and right
I'm
now
30.
I
30, 31, but whoever, we got different ages in here.
do you ever feel like you're running out of time, like you're like it's like I just realize that time is so precious and it's like if I fall off, that's fine, like I'll fall off, but like let me get back as soon as possible.
Yeah,
So
definitely. I mean, we did an entire live 3 weeks ago about what are things that you can do. And again, Fix It Felix, go freaking link this live. It was really good. It was like, what are things that you can do to buy your time back? And I posted a quote by Jim Rohn. It's like, time is more valuable than money because money is renewable. Money is something you can continue to get more of. You can replace it. You can't do that with your time. I know that you've heard that a million times, but if you really think about it, you can't. And there's going to come a time when there isn't anymore, without getting like all deep or whatever. But it's true. I completely believe that. So this is the question I want to ask you: is what was your biggest hang up? This is my very last question, and I'll go through these really quick. What was your very biggest hang up in the sales process with lead gen, SEO, everything? What was the part that was hanging you up before, and how did you fix that thing? Because like obviously November, October, September, you were still working, doing your thing, but something was hanging you up. Was it the prospecting? Was it the setup? Was it the closing? What was it?
To me personally, it was in January. At that time, it was just about putting myself out there. Really, I had learned enough, and it was having a routine and a system, a routine in everything that you do, a routine in your goal setting, a routine in how you pitch, a routine in everything. So
Process.
a process in how you do everything. It's easy, but it takes work. I know you hear all the time, and we're saying a lot of things that people are like, I've heard this all the time. And it's like, when you get to a point, you're going to start to understand conversations differently. And you're going to start to understand, you're going to start to feel that time is not renewable, that money is renewable. Like, you're going to start to relate to a lot of those things. And again, it's environment, but yeah, it was.
So it sounds like to you that, like you said, process, like having a process, but what that actually means is that you weren't taking the first step, which is prospecting. Yeah. You weren't talking to enough people, taking those, as you said multiple times, taking those the activities that actually make you money. Those are the things that you weren't doing, and having the process is what helped you. Is that a good interpretation?
So the process let's talk about sales a little bit, because we could talk about routine and goal setting, but if we want to get into sales and we want to get into how to close these deals, the biggest takeaway that I could give you when it comes to sales, it's having a 3-step process. It's like and we talk about it. It's like, the first meeting, and if you have a pen and a paper, I would write this. The first time that you have a conversation with a business owner, it's about them. It's about getting everything that you can about them. Yep. So you can go back and prepare for your second meeting, which is putting your offer together, right? And then, so it's a 3-step process. First conversation with a business owner, it's always about them. It's always about understanding everything that you can about them, how you could help them, And I could share a lot about like, I would go and Google, like sales questions to ask, So first, you meet a business owner, it's about them. The second time that you speak with them, it's usually when you're, giving your pitch and giving your presentation, right? Here's what I can give you. I always run my meetings as if I'm going to close them that day, right? So always in the back of my head, when I walk through the doors, my goal is to close a deal. Okay. Usually it ends up, it's not a one-time thing. Usually it ends up being that three-step process. And that three-step process happens with your recipe. With your recipe, it's intro, it's screencast, and it's close, right? So and yeah, just having a sales recipe, and that's key.
When you have the process, like it gives you so much more confidence to just go and take action. If you don't have a process, it's just like it's impossible to take action because you don't even know. You can't set goals because you don't have any confidence that if you put an X, Y is going to come out the other end. Having a process is so key. And that was, for me, that was the difference. When 2019, it was helter skelter, pitch this, pitch that, screencast, maybe try this, try that. And then in 2020, I'm like, no, I'm dialing this in. And now for the last 2 years plus, every single deal, no matter what it is, I follow the exact same process every single time. I've used the same script. I use the same screencast, obviously fitted to them. I use the same close, Amex or Visa. I set up my freaking Stripe the same. All is a system and a process, and then it's just rinse and repeat. So, all right, I'm going to jump into comments really quick because I don't want to go super long here. All right, we've got Tim Perry. I think I know the answer to this. He said, what was the goal setting you did? Was it a video on here? Was that the video we did 3 days before in Flat Fee Mastery?
Yeah, so correct. I was listening to that. I listened to it, and then I just took a pen and a paper out, and you're gonna do it all over again, like you might not do it the exact same way. Really, when you take a pen and paper, after I had just listened to that live and I had my pen and paper handy, and I just started writing out, like, I was like, okay, what my first goal is, like the pen is just gonna keep going.
Yeah.
So
totally.
Well, just keep going.
And I'm honestly about halfway through the year, maybe like in July, I'm probably going to encourage everyone to go and check it and watch the video again, like see where your goals are at. Some of you guys, and I know like you're on track right now to smash the goal that you set. I know Linda, I interviewed her on Thursday. She will hit her goal by July. No pressure, Linda. Anyway, so definitely I think it's super important. But anyway, Tim, it's called Exhausted but Satisfied.
Is Tim in Flat Fee Mastery?
What's that?
Is he in Flat Fee Mastery?
Tim? Oh yeah, Tim's in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'll have somebody tag you in there. Adam said, just got a business owner hooked, right? Meow. Nice job, Adam. Right as we're doing the call. That's what I freaking like, dude. That right there is taking action. Let's see if they've got any other questions. Zach Owen says, Unreal Live, Reem, exactly what I've needed to hear. Love your work. And then he tagged Josh Allen Craig. Anyway, a lot of these are referring to stuff that we're talking about. So guys, just for time's sake, I'm going to wrap this up, but this is one of those that, like, I know in other groups I've been a part of, there was those videos that I always had earmarked and kind of saved, that when I needed that jolt or that like nugget here or there, that I would go back to. This is going to be one of those. So what I always say every time is this has been awesome. There's been some awesome tips. I've taken a lot of good stuff. I'm sure that as Reem's been getting interviewed, she's even learned a bunch of stuff. But if you don't do anything, like if from now until next week, nothing changes, then this is a waste of time and you shouldn't be on this call. Like if you're not going to do anything with something that we taught that you taught, that I interviewed you on, about goal setting, about surrounding yourself with the right people, about getting a process, about getting around, like any of those things, if you don't take an action, then stop getting on these calls until you do, period. Like Adam, I love what you're doing, bro. I would rather you be hooking people and getting deals than being on this call. The only reason that we're on this call is to get to the next deal. That is my only intention with every single action I take. How do I get somebody to the next deal in this group? Because ultimately, the more people that I help get to deals, the more people will be like, holy shit, this stuff actually works. And they like it always comes full circle. So anyway, Reem, thank you for your time. I appreciate it, guys. If anyone has
I will tell you this.
what's
Really,
that?
like, I will tell you this. When you make that first call, when you put yourself out there, like I didn't expect at all to end with 7 clients or 6. I ended with 6 additional clients, you know. I just made that. I had one business owner that I closed the deal with, and it just trickled after that. Referrals are extremely important. You know, like you serve one person, it's gonna trickle. I mean, I can't even explain to you how it all happened. I just closed that first deal and I kept going at it. I kept enjoying life and putting myself out there and enjoying my success, and it just kept happening.
It's
So
called momentum. It's called momentum.
that's we're gonna get back on.
The second, yeah, I know exactly how it happened. You get the first deal, and that's a great way to end. You get the first deal, and all of a sudden, all that stress, all that weight, everything is gone. You're like, oh my gosh, I can do this. Now you have momentum on your side. The best time, I've said this 100 times, I'll say it 100 more. The best time to get a deal is when? After you've gotten your first deal. And so that's what happens. You get one early in the month, you get another one, you get another one, you get another one, you get another one, and it just snowballs and snowballs.
That's true. That's true. A huge takeaway that I took from you was literally like, you know, how you start is how you finish. Like if you start your Monday, you know, just not putting in action, like that's just going to trickle in. So really it's realizing that there's a reset button. Think of every day as a reset button, right? Think of every day as a reset button. Think of every Sunday as a reset button. You know, just keep getting back on there, just keep getting back on the saddle. You know, learn everything that you can. You know that you need to learn the knowledge, you know that you need to learn sales, and you know that you need to be tapped into every day to your business. So it's that, you know, just the knowledge about what you do, the knowledge on how to speak with other people, and tapping yourself in every day to your business and to that. So yeah, learn everything that you can. I mean, you can do it. You just need the right knowledge. You just need the right, you know, you need to feed yourself all the right stuff. That's it. That we're human beings. Think of yourself as a machine. Think of yourself as, you know, just give it all the right juice, give it all the right energy, give it all the right. So
yeah, I love that. And I just, yeah, I'm taking notes. So that was awesome. Okay, guys, if anyone has any further comments, you can drop them as soon as I end this video. I know Reem's super willing to help. Reach out to her, and I will see you guys next week. I'm sure I'll see you before then, but I'll see you on this call next week, 4:30. Thanks, guys.